Hey,
Oh, cute
good to
stuff.
see you.
Well, welcome to Pop Your Shit finally.
Thank you for having me.
So, you have written a book called The Audacity of Overcoming. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. I did not introduce you properly. My apologies.
It's
My apologies.
okay.
No, it's not. It's my apologies. If y'all don't know this lady, she's been all over this internet here. She gonna tell you about what's going on. She gonna talk about Paul's ice cream truck. She gonna talk about the audacity of overcoming. But I tell you, your voice is so powerful and so needed. So thank you for coming, Andrea.
Thank you for having
Is
me.
it
So God be the
Andrea
glory.
or Andrea? Let me make sure I say it right.
Well, funny thing about that, I've been saying Andrea and Andrea put together my whole life. And a couple years ago, my mom said, "Why do you say your name like that? It's Andrea." I'm like, wow. For all these years, I've been saying Andrea. She says it's a French twist, Andrea. So yeah, I said, all right, mom, all
So
right,
which do you prefer?
Andrea,
All right, Andrea.
Andrea. I'm still getting used to it myself. I'm like, oh Lord.
First of all, it's our parents for me because my mother and father, uh, my name is different than how I've been spelling it all these years.
Mm.
So on my birth certificate, it was Nichole. Well, I've been spelling Nicole for since kindergarten, and nobody's corrected it. So when I went to go get my
Really?
real ID, they said either you're going to have to change all your bills to Nichole, or you're going to have to change your birth certificate.
Oh,
I had to do all that.
all of it.
So anyway, I digress. So you have written a book called The Audacity of Overcoming. What made you want to write this book in particular about yourself?
Well, it actually wasn't what it was advised initially. Initially, I was told that I needed to write a book about my area of expertise, and so that would be a marketing book. And I started writing that book, and it came very easy to me, and it felt like it wasn't my book. It felt like it was a book that I was writing, but it wasn't my book. It felt like anybody who specialized in marketing could write that book. And so I remember saying, like, I want to write my book that's like a blueprint that nobody else can write based on some things I've experienced. And so I just started writing these topics down about me living in South Africa, meeting Michelle Obama, and it just started off as short stories. And I was like, this is the book that I want to write, a book that only I can write, my fingerprint. And I started writing it, didn't have the title. And then I finally got the title, and it was perfect because I got a chapter about the Obamas in there, and it was basically a blend of both of their books, The Audacity of Hope and Becoming. And so I knew the title was something I was going to stick with long term, maybe to do some events around it, merch around it, other books in the series. And so, yeah, that's The Audacity of Overcoming.
So was it hard to share some of your most vulnerable experiences?
It was, but I always share that, I wrote the book during the pandemic, the original Audacity. I wrote it in the pandemic. So I did have enough time to slow down and really process some things. I also was in counseling for the first time in my adult life, so that made it easier. And I think that I tried to create these writer environments for myself. So I would I would check into nice hotels, and I would have writing sprints. I would travel and have writing sprints. That's how I discovered that I could really write well while I'm traveling. Something about being in the plane, it helps me to write. So yeah, it wasn't hard in the sense that I created a space for it, and I had the right resources and support to kind of go through it without feeling the weight of it. If that makes sense.
At what point in your life? But I'm still finishing up your book. I probably got about 40 more percent to read. So I'm like 60% in. I'm gonna
Cool.
finish it tonight. Um, at what point did you know that you overcame, or do you feel like you're still overcoming?
It's a journey overcoming, and I think that when I thought about it, it was like the audacity to overcome, and I was like, nah, but it's overcoming. It's continuous, and it's different levels to it. So I feel like right now, I've overcome some things that I'm no longer challenged by, but I'm also in the process of overcoming new things that I'm now encountering as I evolve. So as I go to the next level, or as I create the next level, so to speak, with Paul's ice cream truck, it requires a different version of me. So I think I'm becoming better. I'm perfecting the formula. I'm learning what parts of the formula need to be tweaked, but I'm definitely still in the process of overcoming. Right now, I feel like I'm overcoming my fear of the numbers, because as good as I am with marketing, some of the profit and loss statements and some of the accounting practices are a little unfamiliar to me sometimes, and so I still feel challenged by them. So I'm overcoming my fear. I won't say my fear of numbers, but I'm overcoming a previous weakness on the accounting side. So I want to be as strong with my accounting as I am with my marketing.
Now listen, you and I have a lot of similarities. So you talked about going to Arkansas with your grandmother, um, and them eating turtle meat.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
too was shipped to Arkansas. No, I was shipped. You went with your grandmother. I was
yeah.
shipped to Arkansas every summer, and they too killed, well, unalive, road
Hmm.
food.
Yeah.
Was that traumatic for you? Because God, I will never eat nothing that I don't see them, I don't identify with. Because I had squirrel. They gave me squirrel.
I was very firm about not eating that turtle, and I think because at that time with that particular story at Aunt Joe's house, I mean, sorry, Uncle Joe's house, Uncle Joe and Aunt Betty's house, they literally lived in a shack, And when we went down there, we had a plan. It was a process, We go get the fried chicken from Walmart because we don't eat fried chicken while we're there. We're gonna use the bathroom at the filling station, i.e. the gas station down the street, because they had an outhouse. They had a shack and an outhouse in the back. And so we had a process for going to visit them. But I think on this particular day, I just was enamored by this turtle. But then I was the one who announced that the turtle was there. So I felt in part responsible for this turtle, going home to glory. But I learned that you have to stand firm on what you believe in. And even as a young person, I, was like, hey, I'm not eating it. And no matter what they said, they couldn't get me to eat it, which was, for the better good in that instance, because grandma's arm swelled up from, I guess, Lyme disease or something that she caught from the turtle. But that didn't happen to her brother and sister. So the lesson from that is that, you can't consume what everybody else can. You have a different appetite, you have a different immunity, you have a different system. So that applies to more than just eating turtle meat.
One of the things when I started our trip, and it's probably my favorite quote, is why is the person who is to break generational curses is typically the black sheep?
Yeah, I like that too. It is a powerful message indeed. Thank you for that, introverted reader. I went ahead and shared it out. I'm gonna share it out again. Um, I actually had a shirt when I first started designing shirts. That was one of the quotes that I had. The black sheep is traditionally the person who is trying to break the generational curse, and it came from. I started to feel like, previously when we said the black sheep, it was like, oh, the person who has an addiction, or the person who has some kind of illness or is causing havoc in the family for something they can't control or something. But then it started to seem like the person who was the black sheep was the one who went the unconventional route. The person who said, I'm going to take the entrepreneurial route, or I'm going to do things differently than we've always done it. It seemed like at some point that became the person who was objectified by the family. That's the person who became the black sheep. Not necessarily because they had a vice, but because they had a dream and they pursued it relentlessly. And it was different from what other people perceived the dream to be, or their dream to be. And so just that difference of being weird or being unique, that makes you a black sheep. That makes you an exile.
Okay, so I think my father under with me. I think my father finally understood that my entrepreneurial spirit. After my mom passed away, for one,
Mm,
because then he was unfamiliar territory because he's out here without her, with kids, and trying to figure out life as a mother now father. I mean, as a father now, he has to now play the mother role as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think he really understood it this past year with a lot of people losing their federal jobs, a lot of people um, just not getting their rights back. Now, I'm not saying that he didn't understand it back then, because again, they had to do what they had to do back then,
Yeah.
in the 50s and the 60s. They had to share, they had to crop their fields, and pick their cotton, not cotton, their peas and whatever it is that they sold back then, and such. And then he had to go through the civil rights movement, where they were fighting for their rights to be treated equally and not based on the color of their skin. He said that was like, how can I put it? He said that was like a given. That was like, something that was expected, that you have to do what you have to do in order to survive. But he said it wasn't until this last election and this current administration, when they're now taking away people's jobs, that he really now understands what entrepreneurship really means. And it's sad.
Mm. Yeah, it had to get to the point where something was taken away from us for us to understand how to enterprise on our own. But I do think I take into consideration this, because I've had this challenge with some of the more senior members of my family, and even the senior community who supported the book. Um, I think that for the time period that they lived through, it's very unique for them to see a lot of Black people enterprising in this way. I think that there were, examples like Madam C.J. Walker and the likes of her, but it was very few and far in between, so much so that it almost seemed like it wasn't really possible, like it was almost a dream, but not something you could actually implement and achieve. So I think that the time period makes them think that us having these audacious dreams is really something that's few and far in between, maybe a little far fetched. And then also just understanding that the way the technology has advanced, I don't know if people who are of a certain mindset or of a certain age demographic, I don't think they've come to the point of understanding how much technology impacts economic development or economic accessibility, and how you can be either barred out or welcomed into a whole nother economic sphere based on your knowledge of and application of technology. And that's why, like, we love, and when I say we, I'm talking about both brands, the book brand as well as Papa's Ice Cream Truck. We love seeing seniors on this app. We love seeing the senior community utilizing the app, and not just utilizing it, but using it for business purposes. Coming on here, sharing their stories. I think that's one of the most audacious things, to have people who live through a certain time period to share first account experiences, because if we don't preserve those stories, we'll only have people who knew people who were there, right, versus us preserving the
Right.
stories of people who were actually there first account. So I know we have a new way of doing things now, and it's very innovative. And I try to be inclusive of a certain demographic that may be seniors, or maybe people who are not, AI or tech savvy. But I think we're in a new age, and it's a new way. Papa used to tell me a job stands for just over broke. So you always got to have something of your own. I think people are starting to see that jobs care less and less about them. We hear it all the time. People give 30, 40 years to a company, they get like a little gift card or something. And then when they pass, the company send them flowers, if they send flowers at all. So, yeah, you always got to have something of your own. Hey, sis, welcome in. Thank you for coming in. Please share out the live. Thank you, Mona P, for coming in. I appreciate y'all.
So, okay, so what is the most important tool that you learned during this process of overcoming?
In the process of writing a book, or overcoming a
Overcoming
specific
life, period.
in
Just
general.
in general.
Um, the most important would be what you consuming, is what you consuming, and that means because we talk about, what we ingest dietarily, what we eat as far as nutrients, but what we feed our minds and what we put in our atmosphere is important too, because you're in the process of becoming, you're a butterfly in the cocooning process. So, and I write about that in the book. You will want somebody to snatch you out the cocoon, because it's a hurtful process to be able to, gather your wing strength and break out of the cocoon. But it's imperative that you have the right things that you're hearing, the right things that you're seeing, the right people that you're around that are influencing you directly and indirectly. And so, really cultivating a space that invites greatness. I think that's the most important part of overcoming. And even cultivating a space that looks very different from where you are right now. Because where we are right now and where we're trying to get to, how on the process of becoming, those spaces look different, but we still got to hold on to the dream of that, even though we don't see it right now. That's the audacity of faith, because we don't see it, but we believe it's possible, so we keep reaching towards it.
Thank you. One of the most impactful words that you use in this book is the audacity. What made you go to using why that word?
Why audacity?
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't have a name for my book. I just started writing, and I had a couple of chapters. I had the South Africa chapter, I had the New Orleans chapter, and I started writing the Chicago piece. And I was freestyling one day, actually, and I said something to the effect of, why Michelle Obama was becoming, I was overcoming the audacity of it, something like that. And once I said it, I was like, man, the audacity of overcoming. And I was like, somebody got that title, and I looked it up on the USPTOS trademark website, and it wasn't taken. So I'm like, okay, how can I turn this into something I could use long term in commerce? I talked to a few good attorneys, and figured out, how to trademark it as a book series, and that's not to be interpreted as legal advice. I'm just saying my experience. But you can trademark it as a series if you're using it in business, and not just one book. And so I was like, okay, how do I make this a brand so it lives beyond the publishing of one book? And that's when I started to kind of play into a lot of the marketing and a lot of the future books that have come out and are coming out for the Audacity book series.
Did you always know that this was the path you was wanting to take?
No, 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 no. I didn't have any thoughts of becoming an author at first. I was in law school, and I dropped out of law school and started my business. So when I discovered Periscope, I was like, okay, this has really changed how we market to the masses. And I was like, you know what? I know marketing was my minor in undergrad, but I want to go back to that and see, how I can create content. And I didn't really have a name for it at that time, because when Periscope came out, it wasn't like the season of mass content creators. So I didn't know what I was doing, what I was calling it yet. But I was using social media, and I was saying, okay, I'm the live stream lady. Book me to come out and, get the content for your event. But I think ultimately I knew that I had three skills. I knew that I was a good speaker, I knew that I was a good writer, and I knew how to sell and market. So for me to be able to use those, I was trying to be in a certain lane. And people say, okay, you're a motivational speaker, you need to do motivational speaking. And I don't think I could grasp that for myself at that time. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to start speaking. I don't have to have a label for it. I don't have to call it motivational speaking. I'm just going to start speaking and using my voice, because I know my voice is one of my gifts. And so that's how it turned into me writing pen to paper and really bringing the story to life.
Okay. Um, One of the things that was impactful in your story was teaching your son about natural beauty, about his hair, the afro. Um, Speak to that a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. And I talk about my struggles with it too. Like when I was in high school, I remember wanting to wear the wet and wavy look. Not because I liked it so much, I liked it, but it was because it made me look mixed. And if it made me look mixed, then in my mind, that was more desirable at that time, before I, knew the fullness of me, right? And so I saw some of those with my son, some of those same um, kind of hesitancies to embrace himself kind of being told the good hair, bad hair kind of myths. And I didn't expect to deal with that having a son, because I thought, I would deal with hair issues if I had a girl, but I realized that boys have hair issues too around texture, and what's good hair versus bad hair. And with that particular instance where his afro was cut off, it was just like, and the response was, he don't have a greater hair for an afro. And I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, he don't have a greater hair for an afro. And it was really coming from family, with a Southern background. And I think I just had to give grace for the lack of understanding and know that this is something that they've dealt with for several decades. So me challenging them to think a new way and say, hey, our texture is beautiful. Our afro is beautiful. And I remember when I first went natural, I was in corporate America. I was a manager at a car rental company. I was the youngest manager and the only black woman manager at that specific location. And some of the things that I dealt with, pre-Crown Act, I can honestly say it didn't come from people who didn't look like me. It came from people who did look like me, surprisingly. Even customers who were also black made comments, and I remember like trying to find my way in my embracing my natural hair, trying to find my way, like what products, what styles. And I think that's an audacious thing. Connecting it back to the book, I talk about the audacity of beauty a lot. Natural hair care is in here. I talk a lot about how I've learned a lot about marketing from being in beauty shops, being in barbershops growing up. We sell the book in barbershops and beauty shops. We do the ice cream round at barbershops and beauty shops where we sell our ice cream on Papa's ice cream truck. So I've learned a great deal about marketing from the beauty industry, but I also think I've learned a lot about self-love and representation and the value of representation, because there's certain products that I've looked at and you can't tell me that they're not black owned, but upon further review, they use black images and symbolism to make you think that they're black owned, but they're not. They just know how to play the game and utilize certain imaging to attract our dollar, even though they might not necessarily be trying to attract or support us or our causes. So as I think about the audacity of beauty as it relates to me embracing my natural hair and encouraging my son to do the same, I remember when he was younger, he would say, he wants my hair nice and straight, nice and straight. He would say that. And now he has semi-locked his hair. He has twists, and he really embraces his natural hair. And so I think it's just a process of continuously showing young people that, our natural selves are beautiful. If you want to do wigs and you want to do hair down to your butt, that's cool too, but also know that it's okay if you want to rock some twists or if you want to rock an afro, because the same thing I dealt with the desire to look mixed or the influence to look foreign, it's other young girls who are dealing with that as well. And even adults.
Yes, I agree with that. I think societal norms and natural beauty, how they try and say what we're supposed to look like, because our hair is a little kinkier, it might be a little curlier, it might be a little thinner, it might be a little thicker, it might be a little whatever. How they try, and you walk around with this stringy blonde hair, and we're supposed to want that, but in totality, y'all really want what we got. Right. Y'all want to wear braids, y'all want to wear your hair in body waves and things and such. So I'm not nowhere condemning anybody who wants to wear straight hair. That's up to you. That's a preference. But don't be shamed because your hair is a little kinkier or it's a little straighter, it's a little wavier than someone else's. Embrace what you have. That's just a Nicole thing. Today my hair is curly. Tomorrow it may not be. So we don't know what we doing tomorrow. But today, this was what's in my head until I decided to do something different. So
So audacity of beauty.
Important. Go ahead.
I was just saying the audacity of beauty, and when you just described that, it made me think about when I was in the process of publishing, Cicely Tyson's book had come out, Just As I Am. And the beauty of her cover, with her being bald and her really embracing her facial features and having to be an up close shot of her, like a fashion fair type of shot. It really made me look at my cover like, it was high glam. I wasn't natural, but I was close to natural, and I had braids and curls. But I'm like, man, one of these next Audacity books, I don't know if it's the Audacity of Beauty or one of the other book titles we got, I'm gonna go on the cover with an afro. Even with these locks, they're gonna sew in an afro on top of them or something. Because I got to have an afro.
My hair has been every color in the rainbow. I have had hair. I don't have hair. My thing is this: if I want a specific hairstyle, I can buy it. And if I don't want to buy it, I can rock what I got, whatever that is. Whether I'm cut it off, whether it's long, whatever it is, I can do whatever it is I want. It doesn't have to be this color. I can dye it. I could, cover it up. I can, do whatever it is that I want to do.
Indeed, indeed.
For us, hair is a choice.
Yep.
And and I love that, you have the audacity to wear what you want to wear. Just make sure you clean. That's all.
Yeah.
That's, you know what I'm saying? And I think they try and brainwash us into what, I'm trying to be politically correct. Societal norms want you to be, they want your hair to be straightened so it doesn't look out of place, and you have to have your, makeup needs to be light and light and bright. So if I want to go in there with some blue eyeshadow and it's electric blue, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to put on some electric blue eyeshadow if that's what I choose to do. You have to do what you're comfortable with doing, and you have to have the audacity to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And in such a way that you are completely unbothered with societal norms. And it becomes a practice of embracing what feels authentic to you. And I remember, like, when I did a brand photo shoot in law school, and I was just on the cusp of becoming an entrepreneur. But I was trying to understand what this law school dream would fit in, because I always wanted to be a lawyer. But I did this brand shoot, and I was interviewing people at that time on live stream on Periscope. When I did that brand shoot, they were literally chasing me around with a flat iron to make sure that silk press stayed during the length of the photo shoot. So every few shots, they going back over it. And I'm like, wow. And now look at that versus fast forward 7 years later. My brand photo shoot looks like it's authentically me. I'm not trying to be a lawyer. I'm not trying to be polished. I'm not trying to straighten my hair. I'm doing locks. I'm getting to know the locks. I'm styling them how I want to. So it feels more authentic to me and less of what society wants me to be.
That's true. So you are a Chicago native.
I am. I am.
What
South
has
Side specifically.
you know what? I'm not playing with you, y'all people from Chicago. I just told somebody to show me how to do the percolator. So, and I'm gonna learn it when I get there. I'm gonna learn it when I get there. What has being a Chicago native taught you?
Resilience. It's taught me how to pivot in a way that can shift things in a major way. I think I've always been fortunate enough to be around people who have had to pivot in business or in life. So it's taught me the art of the pivot, that where we start isn't necessarily going to get us to the next level. So we may have to shift some things, which reminds me of the book, Who Moved My Cheese? That's what Chicago feels like to me. Who moved my cheese? Because you could think, the growth is in this area and the board shifts. And the players are the same, but the things change. And so, taking that understanding as I go abroad and really want this brand to become something that's worldwide, I understand that the home base is Chicago, and really resiliency is the lesson. And that lesson was, I guess, further fortified during my experience in New Orleans. Definitely resilience as well with my journey there. So yeah, just being able to pivot and stick to it, even when it's not looking good, even when it's uphill battle, just being able to have some stick to itness, as I like to call it.
What does your son think about this book? Because you do reference him. You talk about the struggles that you went through with relationships and your parents. What's his take on this?
I have wanted to go deeper than I did in the book with another version of the book, The Audacity of a Mother. That's the title of that book. And I've wanted to go deeper and talk about some of the challenges that I experienced in becoming a mother and learning how to grow as a mother and evolve and how to try to co-parent, with his father. And I've wanted to go deeper, but I'm always considering the impact to him you know, versus trying to promote a book, because at the end of the day, I'm only doing it because I know that other mothers are going through it, and sometimes we don't want to talk about it.
Right.
Sometimes we shame for talking about it. So we've had conversations over the years to see how his feelings has changed, if any. Sometimes he's like, I don't know if I want to share certain parts, or I don't know how I will feel about the sharing of certain parts. But there's other times where he's like, Mom, if you got to tell the story, I know you're going to tell it in a great way. Go ahead. I'm good with it. So I think ultimately he's okay with me sharing our story. Certain parts of it he's not okay with, but overall, he's like, go for it. I think he trusts me in that way, and we've developed an understanding as to the fact that we went through some things that were very sensitive, but we've also gotten through those things, and now we're on to tackle other things.
Okay. Okay. I love that. I love that. Um, let's talk about branding and marketing because we both have a background in marketing and branding. Um,
The juice,
what what about it excites you?
the creativity, the limitlessness. Marketing is undefined, it's undefinable, it doesn't have any parameters. I mean, you want to be politically correct, you want to not offend people, you want to be sensitive to how the message is tailored to not be crass, unless the brand is crass, because there's a lot of brands out here like Liquid Death where they Liquid Unaliving, where they take their message kind of far. And even as a cookie company I've been studying too, Last Crumb, I think it's called. They have some pretty audacious marketing, but I think the fact that you can go either extreme or subtle and have the same effect based on how you tell a story, because that's what it is. It's brand storytelling, and telling it in a way that resonates with the target audience. So I think the storytelling factor, the creativity, and the limitless innovation is what gets me excited about marketing.
Okay. So speaking of marketing, Papa's ice cream truck. Let's talk about it. What is it that you want people to know about Papa's ice cream truck? How is it important to you, and why Papa? Why that particular business?
Oh, Pawpaw's ice cream truck is a labor of love. That's what I want people to know first and foremost. That Pawpaw was an amazing singer, an amazing father and grandfather. He moved his family from down south in Arkansas to Seattle, Washington, and then landed in Chicago. He was on the Ed Sullivan Show for singing, and he was very innovative before social media in how he utilized his singing voice to attract people to the ice cream truck, how he used different sales strategies and marketing strategies. He knew where to be. He knew to be at the currency exchange on check day. He knew to be at the churches on Sunday. He knew to be at the senior building the day after check day. He knew to be at the projects the day after check day. He knew to give away food at the projects the day before check day. So, he knew how to be about community while also making sure that he positioned himself to benefit financially for the good of his family. And so I think it's such an exceptional story because I'm a senior type of person. I grew up with my grandmother, so I have a lot of seniors who are in my community of supporters for the book and for the ice cream truck. And I think Pawpaw's ice cream truck is positioned to bridge the intergenerational gap. And I always have to say that because I don't want people to think of it as just an ice cream truck. It's positioned to bridge the intergenerational gap because the nostalgia of the ice cream truck is going to connect our senior demographic. But also the fun features and the AI features are going to connect our younger people as well and everybody in between. So I like to say ice cream for all, and understanding that it's really based on three pillars: it's storytelling, it's music, and it's travel. So sitting down with people and having a conversation around ice cream, but really getting to their success story, their recipe for success, how they reach their sweet success, you know, having a pun put on it where we have an ice cream dessert play on it, but we really get into the mechanics of telling a really good story. And not just business owners, historians, notable people who specialize in telling historical stories, because Papa always told historical stories. I mean, I didn't realize the significance of it as a kid. I'm learning about Ella Fitzgerald. I'm learning about different musicians, notable musicians who lived on King Drive before it was King Drive. Um, I'm learning about different icons in the city. And he would tell these stories in such a rich way that I knew it was something that I needed to listen to and try to remember, even if I didn't necessarily understand the importance of it. And so when I talk about Papa's ice cream truck, it's really me honoring the art of storytelling, me honoring music and arts through Papa's ice cream truck, and me honoring the love of travel, because the whole menu is dedicated to something travel. So a lot of stuff from New Orleans, my second home, a lot of stuff from different parts of the country and the world, really. A lot of influence from Africa with some of the desserts that we selected. So I really want people to know that I've had the pleasure of working with some amazing brands, some amazing Black owned businesses. And I've always felt like it's been an honor and a privilege to work with veteran Black owned businesses
Mm-hmm.
where I've been able to do marketing for brands that have been in existence for all my life, or sometimes half of my life. And it's been great to do that, but I always wondered, what is the thing that I have for my family that I can work on? Am I building it, or is it something that I can reinvigorate? And a coach who's active on here asked me, she said, what was your first entrepreneur experience? And I said, being on the ice cream truck with my grandfather. And as soon as I said it, I realized the significance of that story. I'm like, look, I was the only grandchild to have that experience, to be able to work on the ice cream truck with my grandfather. And not only that, I was born on the ice cream truck. Like literally, they built a crate that was like a makeshift bassinet so that they can have me, my mother and father, so they can have me on the truck while they worked the truck because they couldn't afford a babysitter. So just the symbolism of me being responsible for reigniting my grandfather's legacy, and honoring his dream and honoring his sacrifices by using an ice cream truck, but still staying in my lane of doing the marketing and the media and have it be a vehicle that can advertise. It's very new, it's very innovative, and sometimes it's so innovative that it scares me, to be honest, because I'm like, I've never seen an ice cream truck like this, the vision that God gave me. Like, I've never seen an ice cream truck like this. And so sometimes I'm just like, okay, Lord, you told me to put some screens on a converted box truck, run some ads, charge people for the ads, interview people around ice cream. Okay, Lord. But I'm very excited about it, and I think it's the perfect mix of my area of expertise, with my grandfather's background, and it's really given me an opportunity to build something sustainable for my legacy and not contribute my talent to another family's legacy. Although those things prepare me for where I am right now in my own journey, working with other people in their business, other Black businesses, prepare me to honor my family's business.
I'm just saying, when there's a Papa's ice cream truck coming near me,
Where are you located?
I'll be California. Don't mind me. I'll be somewhere where it's gonna be.
Because I like Cali. I mean, I think it's trying to get with the universities. I think the universities are going to bring us in residence, where we can, because we're not married to a specific state. We want to be able to do pawpaws in residence at, you know, what is it, Tuskegee College or Dillon University, my alma mater, Howard University, Clark Atlanta. We want to be positioned where we can be in residence at certain places. So it might be some space for us in San Francisco too. Are you in San Fran area?
Yes.
Okay, good. It's a lot of food trucks there.
Oh, they have a whole big food truck festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You've done your research.
Oh yeah, I have. I have. It's actually a soft serve company that's based out of Cali, but their distribution of packaged soft serve. And so I'm like, okay, well, maybe we can do that as a way to have a soft serve packaged alternative. So yeah, I've done a lot of research around Cali area too.
Let me know if you need some help scouting out spaces for you.
Okay, I will for sure. And I'm thinking that when I'm doing my travels, I'm always looking for ice cream brands that I can go to and try and post about. And I know people are like, well, if you were in the ice cream business, why are you, featuring ice cream brands? We don't make ice cream. We sell ice cream from other people. So, at some point when we grow this thing, we not necessarily trying to be the Keith Lee of ice cream, but we don't mind advertising another ice cream,
Yeah,
comrade. We'll call him an ice cream comrade.
I love it. I love it. Okay, I have a couple more questions for you,
Cool.
and then I'm gonna let you go, and I'm gonna go do what I gotta finish doing because I was supposed to did it this morning. Anyway,
Boom.
um, so you and I both went to school in Louisiana. So you went to Dillard, and I went to Grambling.
Hey, come on there, Rattler. Is that a Rattlers?
No, we the Tigers, honey.
Our family
We
was
the
a
Tigers.
Rattler.
We the Tigers. So, um, what has your experience in Louisiana been like for you? Because I know you were in the New Orleans area where I was more so. Grambling is its own little area, and that's it. So, what has Louisiana taught you, and in your experience at Dillard?
You run towards it when it's happening. So I say that because I was just in New Orleans a couple days ago, and I didn't know about the burning of Nottoway Plantation
Mm-hmm.
until I was on the plane to leave New Orleans. And I'm kind of sore about that because had I known, I would have redirected my trip and went to Baton Rouge. It's 33 minutes from Baton Rouge. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, man, I could have went down there and went live and stuff. And I'm still considering leaving tomorrow night to go down there. My friend, like, they're gonna gate it off. They're not gonna let y'all come barbecue and pour out liquor and take pictures for long. But but I'm like, hey, if I could just get down there, it might just be ashes and soot, no more flames. But I'll go down there and do some content or whatever. I'm looking at flights. I'm serious. I really am looking at flights to go down there. I'm like, because it's something spiritual about being on that land and like, yeah, I'm like, see, I'll go down there with like a little ice cream and a little book, represent both the businesses, get the business blessed, put the ashes on it or something. Yeah, I'm gonna do something. So yeah, but I think being in Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans, and I when I was just down there, I have never been back to the Hilton on Poydras Street. And we lived in the Hilton on Poydras Street. When I went to school, took classes in the Hilton on Poydras Street. And I said in all my visits, and I stay at some really cool hotels when I'm in New Orleans. I never stayed at the Hilton again on Poydras
I
since I was.
have,
You
and I
have?
have. Anytime I go to New Orleans, I think I've only stayed two other places, but I always stay at the Hilton at Pointer Street.
You know what? You should stay that I love the Ritz Carlton there.
Okay.
Yeah, the Ritz is nice there, but they don't have my favorite hotel there. But the Ritz is probably on my top notch in New Orleans. But my plan is to go back to the Hilton on Poydras and to write a piece in there because I find that when I go back to spaces that stir up memories and emotions, I write well and it comes out very authentic and very brings the reader into the story. So I'm gonna challenge myself to do that. But I think that's a different kind of challenge for me because of some of the things that I encountered going through Hurricane Katrina. But I think it definitely showed me that no matter how in disarray or despaired or hopeless things look, because I do remember seeing the city submerged and knowing that place was very familiar to me. To see it submerged was a very emotionally jarring thing, to say the least. But to see that even at that point it can still recover, even at that point there can be a bounce back on the other side. So I think that just showed me that however it may look, it can still come back from that. It can come back and rise up again. So
Yeah.
a lot of
You're right.
resilience in the world.
Okay. Second, my last question. Um, you took me. not me particularly by myself, but I was watching, I follow you a lot, and you took us on a journey when your grandmother passed. How important was she to you, and what was the biggest lesson she taught you?
Oh God, thank you for this question. I have not been able to quantify the biggest lesson that my grandmother taught me in a way that I can articulate it, because I think the lessons collectively were so instrumental to my life. I think that our relationship was so beautiful, and it had its ups and downs, it had its ebbs and flows. And what I find to be most funny, and I got my grandmother's permission before she went home to glory. I said, Grandma, we've had some rough patches, but it's still a beautiful story. And if you allow me to tell it, I'll tell it well. And she wanted me to publish this book before she left, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it. Not before. I didn't have enough time. But I think that there are points where my grandmother didn't understand me, specifically with this entrepreneurship thing. I think she wanted to support me in it, even in her lack of understanding. But like we talked about in the beginning of the interview, coming from where she came from, go to school, get a good job was the formula. And I was on that formula. And it made sense to her then. When I was getting a bachelor's degree, when I went to law school, it was like, okay, my granddaughter's on this trajectory. She's on this timeline. But then when I dropped out of law school and said, okay, I'm going to start a marketing company, it was like, what? You're going to start a marketing company? Like, that ain't a guaranteed check every 2 weeks. And then I'm like, oh, I'm going to use this tool called Facebook Live, and I'm going to create content. What? Like, that sounds like crazy, right? And
Very
then I'm like,
crazy.
oh yeah, Grandma, by the way, I'm going to go live with us in the kitchen while we cooking, and you make things and we talk. And she did a couple of episodes with me, live in the content kitchen. That's where that came from. And she was like, I don't even like Facebook. I think it's the devil. It's evil. So I'm like, Facebook wasn't a thing that she could really reconcile in her mind. But years later, she got her homemaker to put on Facebook. And the way she told me, she was like, I got on the Facebook. I've been seeing what everybody doing on the Facebook. And I'm like, Grandma, as much as we argue about the Facebook, when we was on there cooking in the kitchen for the content kitchen, and now you on there, I said we could have been on the Food Network by now. So I did, sometimes I wish I had brought her more into social media, but she was kind of reluctant about it. And she told me, like, I'm not a business person. You trying to do the ice cream truck scares me, because I saw how much your grandfather struggled to do the ice cream trucks. A job is safer. A job is a guarantee. So while Pawpaw said a job is just over broke, he always wanted to have something of his own. Grandma kind of subscribed to a notion of more security with the job. So I had to come to understand that my grandmother had the unconditional love for me, to not understand anything I'm trying to pursue, but to still be rooting for me, to still be wanting me to win, despite the fact that what I'm doing sounds absolutely unrealistic to her. And so it was a beautiful relationship, because I had to come into her world. And that's what I realized towards the end of it. Like, I would come to her and I would be so excited. I'm like, the Sarah Jakes Roberts picked up my book club, my book in the book club, Grandma. They just brought like 2,500 copies of my book. This is my first 5-figure check. And she like, oh yeah, give me some money then. She not really excited about the fact that, somebody picked up my book that's that notable. But she's like, okay, whatever that means, I'm glad you're doing well. But I had to come into her world. So I said, okay, Grandma want to talk about Wheel of Fortune. She want to talk about Family Feud. We're going to talk about making this peach cobbler, some sweet potato pies, but she took that book around her building and sold it to all the seniors. So that let me know you don't understand business, but you proud to show what your granddaughter has produced. You proud to show that your granddaughter is progressing in entrepreneurship. Even if you like, I don't know what the hell she doing with this social media stuff. And, whatever. She done dropped out of
You
law
can see
school.
her on the Facebook.
She on the Facebook. My friends calling me saying she on the Facebook. And she got a book. There you go.
There you go. Now go buy it.
Yeah, she an entrepreneur. What she do? She an entrepreneur. Okay, but what she do? I told you she entrepreneuring. That's it. That's how she do.
I love it.
So,
I love it. I love it. And one of the things I wanted to say to you was thank you for sharing that because not long before your grandmother passed away, mine passed away, and she was my everything. So I just wanted to give it up to the grandmas that
oh yeah.
love on you, protect you. That regardless if you're theirs, they came out of you. You're still their blood, and that
Oh
she
yeah.
nurtured you to being who you are today.
Yes, I think I'm the senior whisperer because of my grandmother. Like the older ladies love me. Like the seniors love me. They will call my grandma and be like, "What's your granddaughter number? I need to call her so she could get on the prayer line. I need her to pray for me." And my grandma like, "These little old ladies think you they friend. I am they friend. I am like, come on now, you made me like this." So shout out to the grandmas. I just came from Cleo's in Chicago. They blew up when Keith Lee went to their restaurant, and Cleo's is named after her grandmother. So I love a good business that gives reference to a grandmother or a grandfather. That just really, really honors the legacy in such a special way. But yeah, I can't even quantify all the lessons I learned from my grandma. But I'll just say this: her famous saying. I'm one of the books that's in honor of her is a Southern Sayings. It's a full title, but I'm gonna just say that part of the title is called Southern Sayings. And so one of her quotes was, "Don't take no wooden nickels." And so just being authentic to you, knowing, having discernment and wisdom in your dealings with people, whether that's business or otherwise,
Hmm.
don't take no wooden nickels. We need solid quarters and dollars that fold. Yeah,
Listen, grandma be having lessons. I always think
absolutely.
of that. Let me write that down and take notes because
Don't take
I'm
no
just
wooden.
like that.
And you know what? I realized my sister sent me a clip. It's a historical context to wooden nickels. We used to use wooden nickels in exchange for money when we didn't have money back in the day. So it is an actual historical connection to that saying. Yeah.
I
And
like
then
it.
she told me one time, she said, I had did a conference on Michigan Avenue and I was showing her the pictures from the event. She attended, but I was showing her the pictures afterwards. And she looked at it, she looked at me and she said, "You sure know how to take a little bit and stretch it and make it much." And I was
That
like,
right
I don't
there.
know. It was a shade or was it a compliment or a
No,
little bit
that's a
of both?
compliment. No, that's a compliment. That is a compliment. My grandmother also said something similar to that. I can't quote the exact words, but it's comparable to how to make a dollar out of 15 cents.
Yes, that's it. That's it. That's it. Take a little and make it a
That's not
lot.
shade. That's not shade, honey. That's a compliment. That's
Amen.
something
Amen.
that everybody don't have the gift to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
so
Yep. 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 That's a compliment. All right, Miss Ma'am. What is the last piece of advice that you would like to give someone who's interested in telling? Oh, and before you do that, thank you for making your book interactive by asking questions
you're welcome.
after each chapter.
You're welcome.
Because I was able to say, okay, Nicole, you need some work right here, girl. What the hell? Or girl, you're rocking right here. Thank you, thank you,
You're
thank you, thank
welcome.
you. I read the book. I'm reading.
Thank you for engaging with that part.
Yes, I engaged a lot, probably more than I should.
That's why we had to do the journal because I'm like, look, we going deep with this audacity, and for us to walk out, it look cute and it sound cute for you, like we walk out with all the audacity. But I tell people, for you to really be audacious in business, life, and a little bit of love, for you to really walk out with the self confidence of audacity, despite what the world say, you got to be whole and happy within. You got to know yourself. You got to trust yourself, love yourself. So it's really a lot of self work for you to show up with the audacity, because at the end of the day, it's like you're saying, I have the audacity to persist, even though society tries to tell me I can't. I had the audacity to be at tables where I don't think I'm even supposed to be, but I'm there. So just to live audaciously, you really got to pour into you and be confident and be secure in who you are. Because if you ain't confident about you, other people going to play with you.
So what? advice would you give your younger self or
Oh,
someone
that's
who's interested in wanting to pursue writing a book about themselves or their experiences or starting a business or marketing and branding? What advice would you give to the young Andrea?
I'm gonna answer that in two parts. So people don't know, but I have three younger sisters. I call them the 20 somethings, because they all are, back to back, 25, 6, 8. So not that far apart in age. And then there's me, and I have about 10 to 12 years apart from them. So they look at me as like the old lady, the young old lady. Being a big sister has given me the blessing of seeing me in a different time period through them. And so, while what I would tell my younger self is love yourself first, most, and best. Love yourself first, most, and best. Because if you love yourself first, most, and best, you're not gonna let nobody play with you. And that means your men folks, you ain't gonna let them men folks. I was raised by the senior. Okay, men folk. Okay. You ain't gonna let the men mess around with you. You ain't gonna let your friends fool around with you. Okay, you're gonna require people to treat you well and handle you with care. You're not gonna let people rattle you. You're not gonna let people mistreat you, belittle you, or anything if you love yourself first, most, and best. That would be my advice, because insecurity opens the door for people to misuse you. It opens the door for trauma to come in. But if you love yourself and trust yourself, then you don't stand for anything. Because at the end of the day, grandma also said if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So stand for loving yourself. That's what I would tell my younger self. Don't get caught up in materialism either, because you know we like nice things. I know we like, and I had this debate. I don't know how y'all feel about it, but I'm gonna throw it out there. My younger sister said the other day, she said, because she's a tax professional, and she said, I have to look like money because I'm talking about money, and I'm a young black person. So I have to look like money to attract my audience. And I wasn't of that mindset. I said, Warren Buffett drive the Honda. Rich people don't, adorn themselves like that and they don't wear their money. But I thought about it and I said, if you're serving a demographic that looks like you as a black person, you may have to acquiesce to the fact that people want you to show up a certain way for them to take you serious. And the term that I use, hey Dolly, the landowner, when I see the black women who own land in the building, I just have to say, Dolly, the landowner, the audacity to own it. I think what it is that I quantify it like this. When you pull up in a Honda, they don't hear you, but when you pull up in a Lamborghini, they listen. And sometimes we've been so enamored with the shine and the glitter that if we see the shine, we're in tune with it. What they saying, they must got the formula. And that's also how we get tricked. But we don't want to listen to the person who's showing up regular in some Levi's or whatever. If they don't have a Birkin bag or red bottoms, it's like their advice is not valid, because they have to showcase their wealth for you to think that they're worthy of listening to. And I think that's something that only we deal with. But as I grow forward, I understand that if I have a younger client, that may be true. And that may be applicable. Because I've had a battle with one client. She showed up to her brand photo shoot with a Gucci belt. And I'm like, Gucci ain't never put your brand in no commercial of theirs. Why are we wearing Gucci? And the belt buckle so big that, my attention straight goes to the belt when I look at the images, but she explained to me, she said, I'm a black woman in accounting. My demographic want to see me rolling up in a Benz. They want to see me with the Gucci on. They want to see me with Louis Vuitton, Fendi. That's how they verify me. That's how I'm validated, right? And so, I don't want to subscribe to that. I might give me a little infinity when I get out of my Honda, but I'm happy with my Honda. So,
Me too. Guess what? I got Honda. Now people might say, "Oh, you spend money frivolously," but guess what? I don't have is a car note.
There you go. And Honda need to come on and sponsor some of these readers and authors. We can read our books in the Honda. Happy Honda.
All the time. All the time.
Sell my ice cream from the Honda. Listen.
So you ready to pop your shit, ma'am?
I'm ready. With all the audacity.
Where can the people find you? Where can they get your book? Where are they going? When is Papa Ice Cream Truck coming out? Tell the people what's up.
All the things, the church announcements. Well, Pawpaw's Ice Cream Truck just had a pop up with the sanctuary here in Chicago. That's why we came off of our TWA Travel with Audacity a day early so that we can come out here in Bronzeville, where Pawpaw brought his family to when he first came to Chicago. So it's very significant. A lot of history in Bronzeville, right across from the Harold Washington Cultural Center on the historic Martin Luther King Drive. So it's a super big deal for the storytelling component. It's down the street from the Ida B. Wells house, as well as the Ida B. Wells statue, which is a new statue that came out when we dropped the book. So we like to say that Ida B. Wells was rooting for the Audacity too. So a lot of historical context to what we're doing this summer. We're going to be regularly positioned at the sanctuary for their Sunday markets. So you'll see us out there live with our ice cream carts, selling ice cream, doing ice cream giveaways for the community. We are actively raising money to upgrade our current truck or get a new truck. And so we do have a campaign for people to support it who are not local to Chicago. And we are going on the road with some ice cream tours because travel is a part of it. And so I'll be taking you guys for the digital experience. We just TWA'd and Travel with Audacity. We just did a TWA in Puerto Rico and we had ice cream there. So a lot of stuff on the digital side, a lot of stuff at this season as far as bookings. Bud Billiken Day Parade is our biggest event in August here in Chicago. We always dress up and show out for the Bud Billiken Day Parade. It is the biggest African-American parade in the country, not just in the city, but in the country. So shout out to Chicago Defender and the Bud Billiken Day Parade. Yes, it's the church announcements. Yes, for the community. And we're working on pulling up at a church after service because that's what Pawpaws did. That's how I actually joined the church that I'm a member of now, is because Pawpaws pulled his ice cream truck up to that truck, and that's how the family started going to that church. So we will probably be popping out at a church this summer, but I encourage you to follow Pawpaw's Ice Cream Truck on YT because we need to get our subscribers up over there. Follow Pawpaw's Ice Cream Truck here on TikTok, but also Pawpaw's Ice Cream Truck is over on IG. And we working on a LinkedIn page because they say Pawpaw's Ice Cream Truck have to put his suit on and be professional and go over there and hang out with the people on LinkedIn so we can get to the sponsors. So we'll be on LinkedIn shortly as well. As far as the Audacity book, oh my God, the Audacity is making its rounds. I'm being required to speak more about the Audacity. And so I may be showing up to a microphone near you. And when I show up on stage to speak, I'm going to actually be going live so that you guys can be joining in the experience. But every time I click this button, I'm a speaker. That's what I just got the audacity to say. You know, I don't have to wait to hit a stage. Every time I click this button, I'm a speaker. So come in for Good Morning Audacity. I go live on this page every morning for Monday through Thursday. And then I do Feature Friday on Fridays where I feature a small business. Shout out Saturdays where I shout out a brand who's doing amazing things. So just make sure you follow Audacity is the plug where you can get the Good Morning Audacity scoop, Monday morning marketing, and then travel with us too virtually. We go everywhere. We just came from 3 different places. We frequent New Orleans a lot because our heart is in New Orleans, but we go a lot of different places.
Okay. Yeah. What social sites could the people find you on? Where's the Audacity? Are you just on TikTok? Or are you on?
I got IG. We on IG. We on FB. We're on YouTube. Audacity is also on LinkedIn. But Pawpaws is only on right now YT. IG and TT, but Pawpaws will be added to LinkedIn as well. So I'm encouraging people to follow us on this platform, but also follow us on YouTube because when we do our ice cream interviews, we put them out here and we put them out on YouTube as well. If you want to purchase the book, make sure you follow Audacity as the plug because we got a new release coming out for the Audacity of Overcoming book. It is a special edition version. I'm not playing with the Amazon. I'm not playing with the TT shop. I'm just selling it direct from me only. You can get it nowhere else. Now, we're going to keep what's out there because the people need to know about it. But I do think it's some value in having something that's exclusively available just for me. So, yeah, the next book will be exclusively available through my STAN store.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell the folks before I do my church announcements?
Okay. Well, life can be sweet. Sometimes you need a treat. Shout out to Pawpaw's Ice Cream Truck. Toot, toot, hey, beep, beep. Okay. Make sure you follow Pawpaw's Ice Cream Truck. We round here making our rounds, not only serving ice cream, but selling marketing scoops on the side. So make sure you see what we got planned. It's an ice cream truck experience powered by marketing, something you've never seen before. It's like ice cream truck of the future. And also make sure you check out what we got going on with the Audacity book. It's the Audacity of Overcoming book series for me. And I'm Andrea Thompson. Y'all, I hope that you will come and join my broadcast and be a part of the experience. Thank you so much for this time. Thank you so much for allowing me on your platform. And I look forward to all the things that are growing and unveiling. And I won't come to San Francisco without getting in touch with you.
Absolutely not. You got to get in touch with me. All
I
right,
will.
y'all. All right, y'all. I've moved this camera around about 11 times. All right, y'all. So season 1 of Pop Your Shit is ending June 29th. So coming up, we have Monique Fisher on Thursday. Author Monique Fisher is a tentative. I haven't confirmed with Jay Jones on Friday, but I will let you know. Sunday, I have Navi. And on next Friday, the 30th, I have Cassie Reeves. All right. So make sure y'all will be live on TikTok. Okay. What else I have going on? Thank you, Andrea. What else I have going on is I have a marketing company. I am making it a LLC and a 501c3. I'm working on that. What else do I have going on? What else do I have going on? The marketing company. Oh, newsletter will be out July 1st. Make sure that you sign up for that. If you're looking to do some ARC reads, I will be having several authors that are some of my clients that are looking for ARC readers. Make sure that you sign up for that. It's all on my website, bookedandbusy.square.skype. So make sure you look there. The link is in my bio. Please follow my some of my clients. I have Storm. She's a podcaster as well. Make sure that you're following her. Her website, her link tree is in my bio. It's in my link tree. Mark by Tylee. If you're looking for editors, Mark by Tylee. Okay. What else? Her link is in my bio. If you're looking for an online bookstore, the Literary DFW, which is owned by Shannon in Dallas. If you're trying to get your book in an online bookstore, Shannon is your person. Also, Shannon does a lot of other things like websites, and she knows how to make certain products like candles and bookmarks and all the such. Check out Shannon. If you're looking for sweets, make sure that you're following, if you're looking for cookies and such, that to be mailed to you, homemade cookies, good homemade cookies, eat sweets. I tell you, those cookies are superb. So good. So the link is in my bio as well, in my link tree. What else is there? Bibliophile, I forgot what it's called. Clinic, I can't remember. But Jess, if you want your book sprayed, make your book look like a special edition books, check out Jess. I think that's it. Also, my first event will be September 4th through the 6th, 2026 for Napa Valley. So Friday is a tour. Saturday is Friday night is either a party or a tennis shoe ball. More than likely a tennis shoe ball. Saturday is we're going to be going downtown Napa. Saturday night is a game night. Sunday is downtown Napa, and it will be a time. We'll be visiting the historical Marcus Bookstore, which is the oldest Black-owned bookstore in the country. We'll be going through Oakland, San Francisco, Sausalito Bay, Half Moon Bay. We'll be doing some spots in Oakland as well so that you guys can see. That is September 4th through the 6th, 2026. I will be events that I'm going to. So I will be in Chicago October October 15th through the 20th. So I will be there for a lot of dates. I'll be there for the Boozy Book Tour. A time is going to be had. So if you guys are interested in coming to the Boozy Book Tour, make sure you hit up Shannon and Storm or the boozybooktour.square.site for your tickets. Because when I tell you, the author tables are sold out for Arlington and for Chicago, but you can come as a reader. I better hurry up and get them tickets before it be sold out. Because a time was had in Raleigh this weekend, and I missed it, and I got FOMO, and I'm mad about it. But that's neither here or there. So we have the Boozy Book Tour. I will be at the Melanin Ball by the Boozy Book Tour in February 2026 in Las Vegas, Nevada. I will be at the Cali Author Takeover, Denim and Sneakers Takeover, Converse Takeover, given by author Shelley P. I'm sorry, author Shelley P. So I will be hosting that event. All right. And then my event in October. So I'm sure I will be floating around somebody else's event. Oh, I'll also, the goal is to go to New York to Jacquel J's event. So if you guys are looking for me at that event, then so I will be there as well. Anything else coming up for me? That's it for me. So thank you so much, Andrea, for coming on to Pop Your Shit. I really do appreciate it. I love your content. You'll be seeing me floating through in the mornings times, just listening. So I will talk to you guys all later, and thank you, and happy reading, y'all.